since 1900. Now the WSBT forecast from the Legacy Heating and Air Weather Center.
Your first alert weather forecast for tonight, mostly cloudy with a chance for lake effect rain showers. Temperatures dipping down to around 40. For your day tomorrow, it's Friday, but it's going to be cool. Temperatures around 52 with a mix of sun and clouds and a slight chance of lake effect rain once again. Friday night and Saturday night in the extended forecast, frost is likely as temperatures dip down into the lower 30s. I'm Matt Rudkin in the Forecast Center.
Back here on Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat, about 15 minutes left in the program. I'm Rick Carter, Tyler James alongside, and we're pleased to welcome a special guest all the way from Little Rock, Arkansas. His name is Kevin Kelley. He is a head coach of the Pulaski Academy Bruins, been there since 2003, has won 4 state championships for that school, has been to the state championship game 6 times, and he has a very unique approach to the game of football based on analytics. Always kicks on side, almost never punts. And Kevin, looking forward to meeting you this weekend. You're coming up for the game, and you've got something going on Monday we're going to talk about at the Morris Inn here in South Bend. But tell us about the analytics of football, how you use it, and how you can be successful by never punting.
You know, we started, when I took over the program, I guess in the 35 years or so that the high school had been here, they had been to the semifinals 2 times and never passed that. And I kept thinking, you know, there's got to be something more to football that we could do to make our program successful and get to that state championship game and win some, because things aren't going to change. I mean, the kids aren't going to change. The school's not going to change. It's just going to be what it's going to be. And one of the things we finally found was using numbers and looking at analytics and you know, back then it was baseball was starting to use them some, and Moneyball came out. Football's kind of the last frontier for analytics, and I don't know whether it's ego or it's because it's just a rough, tough physical game or what it is. But you know, we started using points per yard line and things like that, and it really came up with the fact that field position isn't nearly as important as anybody as people think it is. And then I think also humans are bad at making decisions generally when emotion sets in, and what you have to do in a football game. So we just tried to start making some of those decisions based on numbers and analytics rather than after we got emotional in a game. And we've done that, and I think we've got a good coaching staff, and we teach good football and run explosive offense and things like that. But I think analytics have definitely made a huge impact on our winning. And since then, you know, like I said, we've been 2 times in 30-something years, and in the last 12 years we've been to the finals 6 times and to the semifinals 9 times. So a definite up, and I attribute a lot of that to using numbers and doing the things that we're doing.
Kevin, Tyler James here. I'm curious, what was the reaction to your fellow coaches on your staff and the opposing coaches when you decided that you weren't going to be punting the ball anymore?
You know, the kids were the easy ones to convince because they play football on video games and stuff, and they don't punt, and they onside kick on those. So they were the easy ones to always tell everybody. And it was easy in the presentation. We just said, hey, guys, here's the numbers. You know, you guys are kids, and you're smart enough to figure this out. But these are the numbers. It's backed by data, and they bought into that. And then we also said, hey, you guys get a chance to do things that nobody else does. You're going to go out there defense and defend a 20-yard field or a 30-yard field. And so they kind of took it as a badge of honor, and they were excited about it. And then, you know, the coaches, you know, I've got intelligent coaches, same thing with them. And then you know, you bring the psychology in and you go, hey, look, listen, here's the deal. Whether you buy into it or not, I even tell our parents this at every year's parents meetings, whether you buy into what we're doing or not, your ultimate goal is for us to win the game, and mine is too. I'm going to make this decision. So it's done. So you might as well not like it. You might as well jump on board with it, because if you're against it and you vocalize that to your kids or whatever, that's going to put doubt in their mind, and you're hurting that goal of winning games. So, you know, you start using the psychology and the numbers, and people are smart, and they figure it out.
We're talking to Kevin Kelley of Little Rock, Arkansas, head football coach down there, who believes in the analytics of football. So here's the scenario, Coach. You're on your own 20-yard line. It's a close game in the fourth quarter. It's 4th down and 5. Are you punting or are you going for it?
You know, really good question, but you left out an important point. How much time's left? And what I mean by that is, if there's 15 seconds left, we'll probably punt the football. Mm-hmm. And what happens then is they've got 10 seconds after the punt to make 35, 40, 45 yards. Now, here's the other side of that. What if there's 4 minutes left? I don't think the other team can use 4 minutes to go 20 yards, okay? To go 20 yards, the most they could use probably 2.5 minutes, especially if I've got my timeouts left, even if they go score a touchdown. So I've got 3 chances to win if I go for it on 4th and 5. If I go for it and I make it, I'm probably going to win the game. If I go for it and I miss it and they go, we've got a chance to also stop them on defense. That's 2 chances to win. If I go for it and miss it and they go score a touchdown and they take 2.5 minutes, like it's probably about what they would take from that point on, I've still got 1.5 minutes left to go down and score again and take the lead back. So I've got 3 chances to win the game in that scenario if there's that much time. So it depends on the time differential, but that's just kind of the process I would go through at that moment to think about what we were going to do in that situation.
So a couple of questions. You also always onside kick. You're a numbers guy. Do you know what your 4th down conversion rate is, and what percentage of the onside kicks do you recover?
Well, we've been doing it we've been doing it for quite a while. Our 4th down, since I took over as the head coach here, our 4th down conversion rate is a little over 50%, just slightly over, like 50.5% or whatever. The onside kick rate's a little over 20%. The goofiness of statistics, this is not being manipulated, but this is the goofiness of statistics. But, the number 2 thing in college football last year that determined who won or lost a game, was the turnover ratio. If you just took everything away and looked at an individual game, whoever had the most turnovers lost the game 80% of the time, okay? Well, if in a game, let's say my team's kicking off to your team and I kick it deep, but you run it out and run it back to the 50-yard line, let's say, and you fumble and I get the ball and our team recovers, that's a turnover in the turnover stat sheet. So right then and there, that gives us a larger chance to win the game. But let's say I onside kick to you and we recovered around the same area of the field. That's not counted as a turnover, but it was the same effect. So what I'm saying is I noticed that, and I used the kickoff game as a chance to attain a turnover, and it's a really good chance. In the history of what we've done, we've covered well over 20% of them. So if that's the case and we can use that, and then you measure how much field position you're going to give up with a 20-something% chance to achieve a turnover, that's a major impact on the game, and something that we're willing to do.
Now, Coach, what do you think is preventing major college program or a professional team to try and adapt this strategy? And have you seen any other professional teams or college teams grab on analytics in any certain way that's been interesting to you?
I'll answer the second question first. As a guy that is kind of an analytics guy, I know, and a psychology guy, I know that you're skewed by what you do. And what I mean by that is, it seems like I notice more and more teams doing it. But the reason I use the word it seems is because maybe I'm seeing it because we do it. For instance, if I wear a turquoise shirt out in public, I probably notice more people wearing turquoise shirts. I'm thinking, God, a lot of people wearing turquoise shirts. If I wear a white shirt out, I probably don't see any of those people wearing turquoise shirts or don't notice them. So I don't know if I'm just noticing because we're doing it or if it's really happening more. I honestly hope it doesn't happen more because we've got an advantage. I don't want everybody else doing it because I think it gives us a big advantage in the way we play the game, numerically and statistically. So, and then to go back to the first question, the first part of that question, all the NFL and college guys I've talked to, and I've talked to a lot of them, it's risk aversion. They're not going to do it because basically there's so much money involved in salaries and jobs, and they don't want, if they get, a lot of times the head coach gets fired, so do all the assistants. But here it is, I had an NFL coach and a college coach tell me, if in the first quarter it's 4th and 1, and I'm using 4th and 1 because everybody should always go for it wherever they're on the field on 4th and 1. But if it's 4th and 1 in the first quarter and they go for it and they don't make it, an NFL guy, and they lose the game, an NFL coach may not have his job on Monday. I mean, if he's already, middle of the pack and on the hot seat, he may not have his job on Monday. But if it's 4th and 1 in the first quarter and they punt, and they end up losing the game, that decision was a non-issue because everybody thinks that's what you're supposed to do. So that's not going to be brought up. He's not going to lose his job. So there's some risk aversion when they lose their job, and the same thing in the college world. And plus the media now with the internet and all the social media and the amount of media that covers the game of football, and I love it because I love the game. there's so many more ways that coaches are going to be attacked for their decision making. And when you do something that's different, even though it might be good different, smart different, if it doesn't work out on the back end of it, the media scrutinizes, and a lot of coaches don't want to deal with that pressure. And that's two of the things that I've been told over and over and over at the NFL and college level.
Coach, it's been a pleasure talking to you. We're short on time, but we're going to give everybody information where they can meet you in person, hear your talk in person. I know you're coming up for the game on Saturday. Looking forward to meeting you, and thanks for your time.
Well, thank you guys for having me. And, hey, anybody that wants to come on Monday, I think it's at the Morris Inn.
Yeah.
I'd love to meet you, and all you got to do is tell them you're there to meet me, and you get in free.
All right, thanks a lot. That's Kevin Kelley, head football coach at Pulaski Academy in Little Rock, Arkansas. His talk will be entitled Never Punt, Winning Football with Analytics, Monday at 10 a.m. at the Morris Inn at the University of Notre Dame. Free tickets are available at the South Bend Tribune website, southbendtribune.com, or you can get a $25 ticket to a VIP session with Coach Kelley. Should be interesting, especially for football coaches. We'll come back with the end of Budweiser's Weekday Sports Beat right after this.
And now, a redneck chicken singing.